if you are consistently posting your positioning, if you're consistently positioning yourself on that social media platform as an expert and you grow an audience, you can bring them other places with you. They will follow you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Reagan Bradley, welcome to the It's Not That Deep podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm really pumped to be here.
Me too. I'm super excited. We've been talking about this for a little while now, and we're finally able to make it happen.
Oh, yeah.
You're a very interesting person with a very interesting story because you are a personal brand strategist, founder of Women Who Weed, and we'll definitely get into all that as well. But I just really love your hustle, and super excited to share your story because you were a host for Local Talks, which is a monthly speaker series for entrepreneurs. But what's most interesting about you to me is like how you maintained a full-time job while doing a lot of these things and have now transitioned out of that. So
Yeah, big moves.
yeah, big move. You went from entrepreneur to entrepreneur.
A little scared.
No, that's good. Being scared is good though. Being scared means that you're doing something that's outside of your comfort zone.
Get comfortable at being uncomfortable.
I love it.
It's like a good punchline.
No, it is. I'm a sucker for these like little quotes and stuff. I see them all the time and they're hype. I like it a lot. You've got a passion for community building, marketing, and storytelling. But let's start at the beginning. Like how did you first start like realizing that just working a full-time normal gig is not really for you?
Well, it was really a process, as with anything that we do in our lives, right? So I had just graduated university and I landed my dream job at an agency that was really well respected in Ottawa named Macmillan.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to work with incredible creatives and work on really interesting projects.
Mm-hmm.
But I had started that role and I'd been working in it a little bit, and I felt like I had a little bit bandwidth. And I'm like the type of person that likes to fill up every second of my day. Always. It's a problem a little bit. And I got approached to lead Local Talks. So I had a little bit of introspection. Oh, I'm just started a new job. Do I really want to be taking on pretty much a second job? Leading, that's a really big deal. And then I just said, fuck it. And I said yes.
I love it.
And I thought what was really cool about this is I could apply what I was learning at the agency into building my own kind of micro business. And through that, I could meet inspirational entrepreneurs in the process.
And I can completely relate because I'd say I'm doing something sort of similar. It's not to the same magnitude or caliber where you're having these really cool, passionate local kind of entrepreneurs and a panel of them and having great discussions. I haven't been to one yet, but I'm planning on going to a Local Talks later this month, so that should be fun.
I'll see you there.
Yeah, that's going to be a really good time. But let's take it back like one step even before that, where you studied communications or what?
Yeah. So I studied communication studies, but all throughout school, I told myself that I didn't want to just have another retail job. I wanted to be continuously building up my skill set. So when I graduate, I could actually get the job that I wanted. I got lucky and I landed a gig with an entrepreneur. It started out me being his administrative assistant, and that developed into me doing his social media.
Okay.
So that is almost... It transpired to what I'm doing today, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Absolutely. No, that's really cool how like these little building blocks and just these little things that you pile on top of experiences, you figure out, okay, I like this, don't like this so much. And then you kind of figure out what you kind of want to do.
Absolutely. And I believe getting involved in opportunities like this, like podcasts or opportunities where people ask you to tell your story is really interesting because it forces you as a person to sit down and just think about the past couple years of your life. What led to where I am today? And when you look at it from the future in the present, looking into the past, you realize that you're making these little steps to get to where you eventually want to be.
But in the day-to-day, you're not thinking about it so much. You're just like you said, fill up every moment of the day.
In the day, you're just
and
grinding.
Just grinding, just hustling,
grinding.
just gotta do it. And like, I mean, I assume you're pretty type A in that you really just want to hustle and get things done a lot of the time. So I can completely relate with that. But let's talk about your experience with Local Talks. How exactly did you get approached, and what was that story? Tell me that story about how you got into
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. So through university, I did a lot of volunteering at events. And when I had graduated, I said, okay, I'm going to take a break from events, focus on my job. But I'm still going to go to events. I'm going to still go there, meet new people, because I realize the value you get from putting yourself outside of your comfort zone to meet new people. So I went to a Local Talks event, and I was just analyzing it, being type A, and I noticed that it could be almost better. I noticed that if I joined this community of entrepreneurs, which is something that interests me, I could make an impact and elevate the Local Talks game. So I'd reached out to the host at the time, asking if she wanted a helping hand. And instead of asking me to volunteer, she ended up just asking me to take the entire thing on.
Okay.
So that's when I said, sure.
That's awesome. So it just started off volunteering. You're like, nah, you know what? Let me run this whole thing.
Pretty much. But it started out like we hosted events in a kitchen, and it took a lot of perseverance, building up a team. It took me getting more confident hosting the events until I kind of got confidence asking maybe speakers with bigger social media followings or reaching out to Shopify and asking if I could host the event there.
At their space, which
So
is
that
awesome.
it took a year to develop it into almost where it is today. And I'm really excited that you're going to get to go to an event and see where Megan Adams is taking it now, because she's killing it.
That's awesome, because like seeing something kind of start, not rough, but humble beginnings.
Humble beginnings. That's a beautiful way to put it. Yeah.
That's really cool. Let's talk about how you then transitioned from learning from all these entrepreneurs and whatnot to actually becoming one yourself.
I think the transition was going through the process of speaking to all these entrepreneurs. So I'll tell you about a couple of events and people that really made an impact on me. One of those was Laura Kelly. So we had an event, and it was called How to Sell Yourself as a Solo Entrepreneur. So how can you basically market your own personal brand to get sales and make a living? Laura Kelly is a really well-known photographer in Ottawa. I highly recommend anybody listening to this look her up and her podcast. You might not like it. Got to plug.
No, I love it actually.
But she told us the story about she had her day job and she wasn't really happy, and she knew that she wanted to get into photography. So she didn't have very much experience, but she just decided to jump in with it with 2 feet, and she created a Groupon ad saying, I will do a photo shoot for you, and this is the price. And it was very obviously a lot cheaper than a normal photographer would. I believe the number was like in 24 hours, she had 300 sales.
Wow.
And she's like, God damn, now I have to do 300 photo shoots, but I'm going to learn.
Yeah.
And through that process, she crafted her skill set. Now she had a portfolio, and she really could start marketing herself as a photographer.
Yeah.
So that was number one. If you're going to do it, just try it. Jump in, go for it.
I love that.
The second one was all about social media. I'd always been interested in social media, and personal branding was something that I was interested in as well.
Yeah.
And I had an event, and it was Mallory Rowan and another speaker on the panel named Eden Osmar. They just talked about the importance of niching.
Okay.
Why you need to have that target audience and just be speaking to them, like you would a friend, right? So that kind of put me in a little bit of a rabbit hole. It's like, okay, well, I know I want to sell myself, but who am I going to talk to? What's my niche?
Exactly.
Like, how do you figure that out?
It seems like such an uphill battle.
It seems like such an uphill battle.
Yeah.
So I went on Google, obviously, and I was like, how to find your niche when you have a lot of interests. And I landed on, literally, how to find your niche when you have a lot of interests. And obviously there's going to be content for everything. And I landed on this YouTube video by Marie Forleo. And she said, when you want to figure out what your niche is, but you don't know what you want to do, play in private. So I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like, should I make a Finsta account? Like, what do you mean, like, play in private?
Yeah.
So that's when I decided, you know what? I'm really interested in the cannabis space. So why don't I just make a cannabis Instagram account? And it all kind of just started from there.
Okay. Talk to me about that a little bit.
Um,
That Instagram account, the cannabis, how long have you personally been partaking? How did that become part of your life? And then to create this account?
Oh boy. Okay. Well, to be honest, I've been using cannabis since, yeah, a while. Can't remember when I started. Let's go with that.
I'm good with that.
And you know, when it became legal, I was very uncomfortable with the idea of associating my personal brand with it because I wanted to be a personal brand strategist. Wow, if I tell people I use cannabis, they're not going to like me or they're going to think I'm a pothead.
They'll put you in that space because that stigma. It's
Exactly.
still there, legal or not.
Absolutely. It is absolutely still there. So I went on Reddit, obviously. Like, that's where you go to research things that might not be on Google. And I was like, communities for women in cannabis or cannabis plus women plus Ottawa, you know, like tried all the search queries. And everything that I landed on was like, I know a girl and I liked her. And then I found out she did cannabis.
Okay.
Or I want to hire this person, but then I found out she smokes cannabis. And I'm like, okay, there's an issue here because I use cannabis and I think I got my shit figured out. So that's when that light bulb moment went off. That's when I'm like, well, maybe this could be the niche. Maybe I can blend professional development with cannabis.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity for that.
They don't have to be mutually exclusive. Who knew?
I know. So then I launched the Woman Who Weed on Instagram. I started playing around with it. People liked it. And I'm like, okay, well, if people like this kind of content, I'm sure people would like to get involved in something like this. So then I launched a meetup community. I just made a little blurb. If you are a working woman and you like to indulge in cannabis or you like weed over wine, this is the community for you. And in 48 hours, 100 people joined the meetup community.
What?
I thought I was going to be able to host the event in my tiny apartment living room. I'm like, oh, okay.
I gotta find
this
some
is going to be
space.
legit. This is going to be legit.
I need a venue ASAP.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So that's kind of how it all started.
That's incredible. There's so much to take away from everything you just said. Going back to your friend, the entrepreneur who has her own podcast and you know, she ate the shit. She put her price low and she crafted her skill, crafted her talents before she even called herself really a photographer. That's powerful. I really like that right there because a lot of people, they look at the end result of all these successful entrepreneurs, all these people who made it, all these shiny Lamborghinis and whatever, and they're just like, oh my God, I want that. What do I do to get that? But they don't see like the process.
Yeah, exactly.
And like everything that it took to get there. And then you taking that and actually applying it to your own life. Powerful.
Oh, thanks.
No. Like, I love that. And Mal as well. Like, recently had her on the podcast and her talking about niche and stuff like that. It really does make you take a step back and think like, okay, who's my audience? Because it can't be everybody.
It can't be everybody. No, it can't.
No.
Because if you cast too big of a wide of net, you're not really speaking to anyone.
Exactly.
And I find, and I've done a couple of consulting gigs with entrepreneurs that are trying to figure out their positioning. What is their brand story? And they're so afraid to niche because they think that nobody's going to want to work with them if they don't do everything.
Right.
And frankly, it's the opposite.
Yep.
Because if you specialize in something really well and you've proven to people that you can do that effectively, then they're going to trust you to do other things for them.
Exactly.
It'll grow,
Exactly.
especially when you're starting out.
Of course. That's such a great message. That's really powerful, especially because, like, a lot of people, and me included, when I started this podcast, I'm like, well, I don't know, like I kind of like all kinds of things. I like talking about everything, and it's we'll just have a conversation about anything. And with anybody. And that, yeah, that's okay. But what are the listeners going to expect? It's hard to think
Absolutely.
as a consumer when you're the producer, right? So like I had to kind of change that mindset, and Mal's been helping me a lot, and she's actually been giving me a lot of advice and tips. And even before that, one of my early guests, Hayden Cashin, shout out to Hayden. He's like, yo, bro, you gotta have like a message, a story, a focus, something to actually like hook people, or something that people are gonna want to expect with the podcast. I'm like, okay,
And would you say that you've kind of figured that out?
I'm slowly getting there. Yes, I'm hashing it out. What now with the whole "it's not that deep" story? Like to me, what I think, like what I genuinely believe at the core from all my experiences, traveling, meeting all kinds of cool people like yourself,
Well, thanks.
and like all these amazing experiences, is that I think like at the base level, humans are all kind of the same. We focus so much on these differences. Oh, you have red hair. Oh, this person practices this religion. Oh, this sexuality. All these different differences that are kind of trying to categorize people. But I don't subscribe to any of that shit. I'm like, yo, we're all the same. We all kind of want health, wealth, happiness for ourselves, for our
Totally.
families. We all kind of just want to like have a good time with our experience here. You know, things differ, and like some things, this and that. But yo, it's not that deep means, yo, we're all just kind of the same. And
So true.
how do you feel about that? What do you think about that?
I think that's really great. And I think that, you know, entrepreneurs, and something that I realized when I was doing a lot of local talks, is a lot of entrepreneurs have those brand heroes, right?
Oh yeah.
They're those people that they admire, they look up to, they've done it before them. And the people that figure it out the fastest are the people that realize that you don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? How can you take what someone's doing and put your own spin on it?
That's really cool. So, who's your brand hero?
Oh boy. I am obsessed with this brand strategist named Phil Palin.
Phil Palin.
I've
Okay.
always really admire the work that he does, and the consistency he has with his branding. And someone that's interested personally in helping other entrepreneurs build their personal brands. It's just great to learn from someone who is really established and has a really big professional clients.
I like that. And so getting back to the whole brand strategy thing, what really made you initially like really fall in love with that? And what is it about brand strategy that just got you fired up? Like, was there an aha moment, or have you always known that like this is just what you love to do?
Well, I worked at Macmillan, which was a branding agency.
Absolutely.
And so I got to work on a lot of projects where they made a brand come to life. I find that a lot of companies are so, well, what we learned and what we know as an agency is so many companies are in the day to day that they don't take a step back and realize what they're saying is only clear to them internally, but not clear to anybody externally.
Interesting.
And I think I find it really interesting to be able to help people figure out what their vision really is, or ask people the right questions and help them figure out an answer together.
So the culture versus the vision then. So the vision would be kind of outwardly and like what you want the mission to kind of be long term, right?
Yeah, and the brand is more about the positioning. So how do you take the vision, which is your like North Star, and your mission, which is what you do, and then how do you communicate yourself, your positioning, in a way that relates to your target audience? That's what
Okay.
positioning is. And that's really the core of the brand, is all of it, but that's really the core about your brand.
So let's say I come to you as a client and I'm like, I'd like to get some services to help me with my brand. I'm kind of lost with my vision right now, my story, this and that. What are some of the first steps? What are the first things you ask entrepreneurs or whoever would be coming to you? Hey, figure these things out first, and we'll get right back to it.
Yeah. So with personal branding, especially, I like to figure out who they are.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and what makes you unique.
Yeah.
So I read this book called The Content Inc., and it really inspired me. It says, what your niche should be is the intersection of what you are knowledgeable about and what you're passionate about.
Okay.
So this is in terms of personal branding. With a company, it would be different. So for me, what I would be knowledgeable about is, personal branding. But what I'm like really passionate about is cannabis. So how can I figure out how to intersect those two things? Well, I can talk about professional development and intersecting cannabis into your everyday life.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of where I found he calls it a content tilt. How do you talk about things a little bit differently?
What kind of different social media platforms do you recommend people really lean in on right now in 2019?
I think that's a really great question, and it depends on where your audience lives. So
Okay.
I'm not gonna say it's Instagram. I'm not gonna say it's Twitter. It depends on where your audience is hanging out and what you're gonna double down on. But what I will recommend is that you only work on 1 to 2.
Okay.
So you don't want to be everywhere, because if you're everywhere, you only have so much time in the day, especially if you have a full-time job and you're trying to balance the two things. So where can you really double down? So personally, I'm putting all my focus on Instagram. If I want to do a video, it's going to be an IGTV video.
Nice.
If I'm going to do a post or I'm going to write something really long, it's going to be on Instagram. The strategy is that if you are consistently posting your positioning, if you're consistently positioning yourself on that social media platform as an expert, and you grow an audience, you can bring them other places with you. They will follow you.
Interesting.
Yeah. So one social media platform. Mallory, on your last podcast, talked a little bit about the importance of building an email list, and I would concur. So no matter what platform you are building your brand on, you want to be driving them to maybe a landing page where you can collect emails, because emails are like liquid gold in the marketing world.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you can have the intersection of the two, you're really focusing on one platform, posting some videos, because videos are the medium of the future, or currently.
Yeah.
And you're just consistently working at it, you can really build an audience.
That brings a really interesting one to me, which is TikTok.
Yes.
TikTok's a newer one with over, I think, 800 million new users.
I know, all the kids though. I'm like, maybe I could bring the weed to TikTok, and then someone's like, no, there's kids on there.
What?
So that'd be weird. I don't know. I'm gonna experiment with it.
I guess.
I'm sure the kids would love it, but it's like, can I morally do that?
That's true. I guess that's really a question you got to ask yourself, because it's the whole 19 plus thing.
Oh God.
But then, like, are we acting like people younger than that don't? But at the same time, positioning.
Oh, you
it
can't.
gets back to the positioning, right?
You can't.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
the one thing I decided when I decided to associate my personal brand with cannabis is that I wasn't going to do anything illegal.
Nothing illegal.
Like nothing illegal. So right now, edibles are not legal. I'm not posting about edibles.
Yeah.
It's just not legal yet. Well, it's legal now, but it's not like on the market yet through regulated channels.
Right.
Right.
Let's say you guys do like this meetup. You have like a Facebook event or an Eventbrite something event, and then all these people are meeting up. Someone brings some edibles or something. Are you going to discourage them?
Oh no! Anyone can do what they want.
Do what they want. You're adults. Like,
it's about me. Like, I don't want to associate my personal brand with edibles, but it is legal to, make your own weed butter and then put it in edibles. It's just buying it from a company is not legal. Was not legal. It's getting there.
So then talk to me about like the experience. I'm a woman who wants to attend one of these meetings. I'm a little shy. I don't really know if I want to be like associated with this and whatnot. Would you, I mean, obviously you would encourage me to come out, but how would you make me feel like it's going to be a cool, chill, calm, inclusive vibe? Because from what I've read, it seems really fun.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Sorry you can't come, man.
All good. I'll wait till Men Who Weed
gets released. Well, the thing is I find through all of my event planning experience, there's a lot of events where you're learning things, right? Mm-hmm. And you're getting talked at. But to build a community, I find that it needs to go both ways.
Right.
The people that are in the community need to feel like they're giving as much as they're taking.
Right.
So that's kind of the frame or the point I wanted to kind of get across when I was creating Women Who Weed. How can I get people involved? So I formatted that to begin with as a book club. Everyone read a book, and we are going to come and we're going to discuss it. And that model has worked really well. It's got the right target audience to come to the events. We're getting professional women, intelligent professional women. We are keeping it on theme with, we're talking about the women experience, and we're relating that experience to the topic of the books. And then everyone gets the opportunity to talk as well.
That's powerful. You need that. You can't. That's really building the engagement. Like
Well,
that's
if you think about it, there's different groups within, like the one thing that we all have in common is cannabis, right? So basically a community is just connecting people that have something in common, right?
that's
And
powerful.
cannabis is so wide, the net is so wide that, we could have older women coming to the events, or we could have people that are love nature, or people that use cannabis in fitness, like, but the one thing that we all have in common is
Is
cannabis.
the cannabis?
Yeah.
That's that common
And we're all
denominator.
women.
I really like that. How can people join?
Yeah, so you can join by joining our meetup community, meetup.com/womenwhoweed, or you can join our Facebook community, which is facebook.com/womenwhoweed.
Interesting. I love that a lot. What is your longer term vision of the company? Where do you see it going in like more than a year or so?
Yeah, because obviously you can't make money from events. We all know that. I knew that before getting into this. My goal is to continue cultivating the community across North America. So I would love to see Women Who Weed chapters really across North America. I'm in talks with 3 different cities that will be probably launching in January. So it's on the move. And then once the community gets to a certain size, we've been chatting about how can we turn this into a product. And we're thinking that might be a piece of technology that enables the cannabis community to connect with one another.
Oh, like are we talking like an app or are we talking
I'm
like
thinking like a progressive web app. So
Okay.
it would allow people to host events and find their target audience. We just brainstormed this the other day. It is
That's
fresh off the press.
I like that though. That's
we
There's definitely like you talked before about going on Reddit and trying to find these communities and this and that and no luck, right? If you have something like this and it can be marketed right, which I'm not worried about with you, like people are gonna hear about it and soon these local chapters everywhere are gonna pop up. But how do you then manage who's gonna be heading these up and it's still following the vision and it's not like
Yeah,
something
for
different,
sure.
than what you kind of have.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can't be everywhere at once, right? But the idea is that if we eventually had an app, different communities would develop on them that we wouldn't even touch or know about. We would enable women leaders in the cannabis space to do whatever they want with it, but we would just give them the tool to be able to make it happen.
Interesting. That's a great answer, actually. I
That's the long-term vision.
that is the
Like
long.
long-term, like 2 years.
No, but that's really good though, because I mean, any vision past that is gonna be kind of hard to give like a practical like this is what's going down. But like,
Yeah, you can't be holding people's hands, right?
yeah,
Like, and nor do they want to. Like, people that feel inspired to create something and bring people together want to have feel empowered to make whatever they want out of it.
exactly. And to me, like the most powerful thing about the whole community aspect is that you're kind of allowing people to just be themselves and not have to hide, this whole stoner thing, this whole like stereotypes. It's like, you literally say in your ad like bring your stilettos and your books or something like that. Like,
Yeah. Stiletto stoners.
yeah, I love that. And I love the whole like bring your own joint. That killed me. That like the marketing is on point for this.
I
Like
know. I
you're
feel
right.
like
I
lighting
want
up
to
a
come.
joint right now.
You might just have to.
I might just have to.
I'm not stopping you. But yeah, no, it's such a great concept. It's such a great idea. I love that people can, even in Ottawa, like of all places, like the most bureaucratic, like 3 levels of government
Oh no, you
place.
know your boss in the government smokes weed when he goes home. You know.
100%, 100%.
Now he doesn't have to do it in the shed anymore.
Exactly. You can blow it in a cop's face if you want, and they can't even do anything. Not that I'm
Aggressive.
not that I'm advocating to do that. No, that's amazing. I really like the whole community building aspect of it. Are there any other like interesting passions you have and other things other than the weed and the women and entrepreneurship that you got going on that you think people would be interested in?
Well, actually, I'm trying to narrow my focus. I'm
Okay.
trying to do the opposite.
Okay.
So when I decided that I wanted to be become an entrepreneur and make this leap of faith. I had a lot of ideas. I'm going to grow Women Who Weed. I'm going to take on all these clients. I'm going to build my own personal brand. And I'm also going to help an entrepreneur build his, the list went on. And then I went on a vacation and I just kind of sat there. I'm like, I am overwhelming myself. So you need to figure out when you're an entrepreneur, like what really matters. What do you really want to focus your energy on?
Finding your why.
Finding your why. Exactly.
That's so true. And that's something that I think I even personally face is like, my mind's a million places at once. I want to do it all. I want to do everything. But like what someone told me once, and it's kind of stuck with me, is like you can do anything, like within reason, but you can't do everything.
Yes, I love that. That's a
And
great quote.
that has stuck with me so, like, it's making me really think like, okay, I need to be able to say no to more things.
Yeah, or like, where do you want to be in 5 years? And will saying yes to this help you get there? So, for example, the other day, someone reached out to me, very, very kind, and asked me if I wanted to do a creative shoot, a photo shoot on a Saturday, midday. And I thought about it, and I'm like, okay, that sounds like fun, sure. I said yes. And then I thought about it, I'm like, will spending my entire Saturday doing a creative photo shoot really help me, or should I be spending that time building my business? So then I said no. So it felt uncomfortable. I felt kind of mean, but you have to get comfortable, putting yourself first.
I like that a lot because it's hard to say no. It's almost that fear of missing out almost. It's like, well, I could do it. It'd be really fun.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with doing
It's
it.
hard to say no to fun things.
Oh, it definitely is. But like you said, keeping that focus in front of your mind, like, is this going to be helping me? Is this going to be helping my strategic long-term vision? Not to put it in these textbook terms, but that's really what it is. And like having that for your own life. So you really seem super passionate about, like, sorry, passionate's not the right word, self-aware. You have a high level of self-awareness. Have you always kind of had this like introspection, this ability to look inside and see how something's making you feel, or is this a learned skill?
Oh God, no, definitely not. When I was in high school, I won those Blunt Award. I just say shit. I literally just say shit. I've had to work on that a lot. But I don't know. In the past couple of years, I've just known that if I want to get to where I eventually want to be, I need to start thinking more. I started doing gratitude journals.
Okay.
I bought one online, and it's every day you write 3 things that like made you happy.
Okay.
And that just started putting my like brain in the process of self-reflection, right? Yeah. Like what was good today? What was good today? And I did that for a couple of years. And then I'm like, well, what would be good if I did this in a couple of years? Or what would be good what would good look like to me in 5 years? So I definitely think it's a learned skill. I think it's a skill that anyone can learn. I mean, you don't have to do your yearly planning on December 30th, right before New Year's Eve. But like, that's also a great time to start. Like maybe map out what your 5-year goals are, your 3-year goals, and your 1-year goal, and then make a work back schedule based on that.
Or like, what am I going to do to get there? How am I going to get there? Maybe SMART goals or something like that. Your gratitude journal, what time do you write in it? Is it at the end of the day? Is it the beginning of the day? Whenever you find time.
Whenever I find time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a pretty good, like, because I know people always want to hear about others' routines. Okay, like, oh, what does Reagan wake up and do?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like, but I think what's more important is actually just the fact that you said, yeah, I did it for a couple of years. I didn't do it for 2 days, and okay, yeah, I'm all gracious and happy now. No.
Well, I think it's about like how can you make habits like a little bit more fun. Like I bought this cute little, like I'm all about like Instagram and like cute aesthetic things. So I like spent $20 on a gratitude journal from Chapters. And then now when I open it up, it has like these cute little inspirational quotes and it's like really colorful and
there you go.
I can gram it every once in a while. Like it makes it fun for me.
I like that.
When I started trying to build a morning routine, I did it on this app where you like challenge other people. It's kind of like an Apple Watch, but I don't have an Apple Watch, so it's a little bit different. So every time you finish, you do a habit, you like track it, and then you can kind of like kill your opponent, which might be like your friend or someone that you're like competing against, you know?
Okay.
Like you got to like gamify
That's
habits.
because it can get really boring just always looking inside of how can I improve, how can I be better, because it almost like in that frame of mind you can start to think I'm not doing enough, I'm not enough, even when you're trying to be grateful. Like the
I
whole point of
know.
it is like, yo, I'm trying to find things to be like grateful for in my day, and like, you know, oh my God, like I have this job, I have this roof over my head, I have this family and stuff. But then like you might just start being like, well, like scrolling through Instagram, oh, this guy's got this car that I want. This guy got this.
And even when you're trying to be grateful, you're like, I had a shitty day today, you know?
Yeah.
And then what I write is still writing, still alive today, you know? Like,
Yeah.
how do you make like the positive a shitty day? Like, great
like
lunch, you know?
Hey, but it's the fact that you stuck with that. That's really cool. I might have to start doing this. I try to wake up in the morning and do a little deep breathing and say like I'm just lucky, or like just be thankful a little bit, but I don't give it any more thought than that. Then I just go about my day and do things, right? But
I don't think most people do. They're
yeah,
not like always thinking about their future, you know?
yeah, it's tough, but you do have like a high level of self-awareness. I noticed that about you. That's really cool. Have you noticed any other traits in all these entrepreneurs you've talked to that's like you've noticed it's kind of like a common occurrence or something that like, oh, you know what? A lot of us do this.
Yeah. I would say it's like a lot of entrepreneurs feel the fear and then just do it anyway, you know? And that's consistent across the board. Like you did it with this podcast. I don't know how this podcast is going to turn out, but I'm going to go buy all the fucking equipment and just
Yeah,
do it. And
just
here you
do it.
are, right? Like how many
Exactly.
incredible conversations have you had from this?
Oh my
Who
God.
knows where this is going to be in a couple years, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's such a big thing because for the longest time, like I would just think about it. Like I was like, I don't know, this, that. But then like, I'm like, you know what? I could go another X many years just thinking about it, reading books on it, listening to podcasts
I
on it.
love that. That is something that we all fall. It's like the information trap,
Yeah.
right? We try to learn something so hard that we don't actually like put it into practice.
I have so many friends who have so many ideas for businesses and stuff, and they're just sitting on the back burner because they're like, no, I got to do this course. I got to do this. I got to do that.
Well, I work with an entrepreneur and his name's Fahad Al-Hattab, and I had the exact same conversation with him. I really respect him as a mentor as well. I'm like, I find myself learning so much and never applying anything that I'm learning. So I have so much information written down, all these notes, and I'm never using it. I'm sure everyone says that. And he's like, stop reading things that don't apply to exactly what you're doing. He's like, right now you're writing website copy, listen to shit on website copywriting, right? Then when you're building a social media strategy, only listen to stuff on social media strategy, because you're only going to really remember what's relevant at the time. So I might have a whole like, Google Doc full of social media strategy, but yet when I go to do it, I'm going to validate my strategy again by Googling it, right? It's something we always do.
100%. And it speaks to our information diet. In 2019, we're almost overloaded by stimulating content in all kinds of forms everywhere you go, whatever you do. It's almost hard to even shut the brain off and just
Everyone's trying to give you tips.
oh yeah,
All of the tips
there's
everywhere.
a top 10 list everywhere of everything.
All of the tips. What I've honestly started doing is picking a couple of people, the brand heroes, I'll go back to that, that I really respect, or I really, they've proven their concepts or they're experts in their field. And I just listen to a couple people. So for marketing, it's like Neil Patel,
Love it.
right? Like that's the guy.
Yeah.
If I'm going to go to one website, it's going to be Neil Patel.
I like
you know?
that. I like this focus. But then what if someone else comes around and slithers into your information
Okay,
diet?
well, I'll look at it, obviously. I'm not only going to be Neil Patel, but it helps me like not waste time, because then you have all these contradictory information, and then you're like, well, now I'm just confused. And you were confused when you started anyway, because that's why you're Googling it.
It's a kind of the same thing of people with diets, right? It's like, oh my gosh, should I go paleo? Should I do keto? Should I
Oh
do
my God,
this?
that's a great
It's like
comparison.
all these different diets, and then they end up just ordering pizza and ice cream and this and that.
I'm overwhelmed.
Like,
Help.
too much. don't know what to do. But it's the same thing with our information diet. I find when scrolling through Instagram, Facebook, all these different things, you're just like, oh my God, Gary Vee told me I can't hate Mondays. And here I am, I hate Mondays, or something like that. Like, I don't actually hate Mondays. I don't really hate a day of the week, but I'm just giving you an example. It's just like, there's just so much out there for people. How else can they really try to avoid things? Would you ever recommend someone like deleting an app completely?
Oh, well, I've been like unfollowing a lot of people,
Okay, that's a good one.
right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to I spend a lot of time on social media because that's obviously the space that I'm in. And I found myself just scrolling through a lot of content that like wasn't high quality. The messages weren't really positive,
Yeah.
and I was wasting my time trying to get to the good stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, why don't I just
Unfollow.
only have the good stuff, right?
Yeah.
So now my experience on social media is a lot more positive,
That's cool.
right? And
You've
I
almost
actually
crafted it to be that way.
exactly. And now, what is the point of social media? It's to be social, right? You actually have to engage with people and comment on things and, respond to people's stories. Like, you got to actually be on there. So now I can just scroll through Instagram and comment on other people's stuff that I actually care about, or people that have really positive messages.
That's so true. When you remove the whole, like, I don't know why all people use social media. It's kind of a little differently for everybody, right?
Totally.
But
Totally.
like, there's a lot of people who are just on there with one photo, and you don't even know if they're really like. If they
Some people
exist.
are on there literally for completely personal uses, right?
Yeah.
I personally have started using social media as a business tool. A strategy sometimes is saying no to things, right?
Yeah.
And I started saying no to posting pictures of me at parties on social media. Maybe my story, but you're not going to find it out on my feed. So now I've started really just, this is what it's for. And to be honest, it's taken a lot of pressure off me.
Yeah.
So when I felt like I had to post every single thing exciting that I was doing, I don't know, I felt a little overwhelmed for someone that's like in social media. So now I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to post professional content once or twice a week, and that's that. That's my strategy. And it's been working.
Whatever's on brand, on message.
Exactly.
For you.
On brand, on message.
That's so cool, because to me, it's kind of tough to figure that brand message. What is my personal brand? What am I really doing this for? Who am I really talking to? Because you can get caught up in just like, you can be traveling and like, should I be snapping this moment, or should I just enjoy this moment? So
Totally.
that's a good way. Like, you kind of already answered my next question a little bit. Maybe you can expand on it a bit more. But it was just like some of the negatives of social media, right? And like, people feeling pressure to post all the time, or everything's a story, or here's my food, or here's us podcasting together, here's like a million different,
which I actually do want to take a story of.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt, throw it on there. I will not stop you.
Do that while you're in your middle of your thought.
Absolutely. But like, to me, there's like everything in life, there's pros and cons to social media, right? So you could be scrolling through Instagram, comparing yourself to other people, even if it's subconsciously. You could be like, oh, I should post this thing. But that might take you out of the moment. So it's just like, how do you, I mean, you already kind of answered this.
Well, I think there's a couple of things that are a lot of things negative with social media.
Yeah.
It's like self-talk, right? Or like comparing yourself to others, which you just touched on, and the time that you spend on the platform where you could be spending it learning or building a business, right?
Or reading.
Like, I had a client today, and she said that when she decided that she wanted to get into professional acting, and she decided that to do that, she needed to be all over social media, everywhere, YouTube, like Facebook,
LinkedIn,
LinkedIn, blah, blah, every single profile, Pinterest, maybe not Pinterest.
Okay.
But she said that eventually I started spending more time on social media than I actually was building my business. And that's when it becomes a problem.
That's very true. But it's hard to separate that, because you might even justify it in your head. Well, all this work that I'm doing on social media is business. How do you separate that line?
That's a really good question. And that's kind of something that I'm telling myself right now. Like, I guess it depends what the mission of your business is, no matter what. Like, if you're trying to build a personal brand on social media and get sales, then you need to make sure that what you're doing is converting and you're actually getting those sales, right?
Right.
So, like, how do you get conversions? Well, you're making lead magnets and you're getting those emails and then you're following up with them. Like, if you're just posting, you're not actually getting those emails, then what are you posting for?
Right. Something that I think gets lost in seeing all these, not gurus, but people who are influencers and people who are killing it in a space that a lot of people want to be killing it in. Let's take Gary Vee for an example. A lot of people will see his videos and his content and, oh my God, I'd love to do this. I want to be on every platform. I got to be crushing it on this, and this all the time. But they don't realize that he has a whole team.
Oh, yeah.
Like a whole team, a whole media company behind him, helping him make this stuff happen. So what advice do you have for people who like are a one-man army and need to utilize social media, but also have to work on their content, their business?
Well, he does say, like, what's the one thing that you can do extremely well and then be the absolute best on it?
Yeah.
Well, you could apply that to, like, your brand, but you
Right.
could also apply that to what channel you decide to use. So remember we were chatting a little bit about it earlier. It's picking that one content channel and just doubling down on it.
Love it. Great
Yeah.
answer. Pick that one channel, double down on it. How do you feel about LinkedIn?
I think LinkedIn is underutilized. LinkedIn video is becoming really popular. I think it's obviously focused for a more professional audience. So if I were to post something on LinkedIn, it would be very instructional, or it would be how can you be better in your career by following these steps or by doing
article.
these things. Articles, exactly.
That kind of stuff. Okay. But I almost think it's changing even that. Like, that's what I thought LinkedIn was this whole time. And now I'm seeing just everything on there. I'm seeing it's basically almost like a Facebook.
I'm starting to see some more self-help
Yeah.
coming up on there.
A lot of self-help, a lot of like almost things leaking from Facebook onto it. Things that I've seen some political stuff. I'm like, this should never be on LinkedIn before. I think they're kind of opening up the floodgates for advertising too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like, it's an interesting place because I've debated it. Me personally, I'm already chopping up videos, and you'll see this when I send you some clips of this amazing chat. But chopping up videos for Instagram, which you might have seen one or two of those. And then I'm like, okay, well, should I make a longer one for YouTube? I don't know. I don't have the time. Should I make one for LinkedIn? Well, I did once and it did really well, but that took me a lot of time. Maybe not LinkedIn. And then Facebook, thankfully I could just link it with and then Twitter, and then there's just almost too much. I don't really know what my point was there, but
Well, you could see how many, like, how well it's actually working. Like, you could put like a tracking pixel in a link,
yeah,
and then you
I
could see
learned
how many
how to do
clicks that it gets,
Yeah.
and then be like, okay, well, people might be watching this, but they're not actually clicking. Or see, like, maybe put like a metric as like how many more LinkedIn requests
Yeah,
am
that's
I
true.
getting based on doing this,
That's true.
right?
It's all about analytics at the end of the
Yeah,
day. You
it's
can
all
look
about
at
analytics.
everything. You can like I just opened that world up and I was looking at it like, bro, you could tell like the demographics
It's a
of the
story.
people,
It's
like,
really a story once you start diving into it.
it's really interesting. I like that a lot. Let's go back a little bit and talk about it wasn't really a transition to entrepreneurship, but how different is your day-to-day now that you've gone full tilt from a entrepreneur to an entrepreneur? What's it
Yeah.
like now?
Well, I think it's really important first to just kind of talk about, like, how do you know when you're ready to become an entrepreneur, and like, should you become an entrepreneur right away, right? So I knew that personal branding was what I was really interested in. But did I just quit my job and start doing like personal branding? Absolutely not. I started taking on clients. I did a couple of tests. I got feedback. Is this working? Am I good at this? Can I build a process? And then I realized, okay, I think I could get this. And then the next step was, I'm ready to be an entrepreneur. How am I going to make money? How am I going to make up my salary?
Right.
And I had to figure out a way. So now I work part-time with an entrepreneur managing his personal brand.
Right.
So that keeps my income coming in.
Okay.
but now I have the bandwidth to take on more projects on the side.
Okay.
Right?
So it's all project-based, client-based.
Yeah, but I have one consistent client that's like a 1-year contract
That's great.
that I work with multiple times throughout the week.
There you go. So that's
So
almost like your main.
exactly.
Yeah.
So what a lot of entrepreneurs or people do is they start going part-time in their full-time job. So this is almost like that for me. So a lot of government offices allow people to do that. Like, that's great. That's a really great way to do that test. So once you do that test and you have a big enough pipeline, your pipeline is full essentially, then you know that you could make the jump.
What was it like trying to get that first client, getting that first person to work with you when you had no experience to show for it? It's like, take a chance on me.
The stars kind of aligned. Yeah, the stars really aligned. He was looking for someone, and we known each other personally.
Okay.
And he had been following my personal branding for a while and knew that I had the capacity to do so. So he was willing to take a risk on me.
I love that. That's important.
So
you
now,
almost do sometimes need luck. Sometimes luck has to play a part of the
luck
journey.
has to play a part of it. And it's, of course I took a significant pay cut. I didn't know really how I was going to take on new clients. And I didn't even know, hey, like, do I really want to be, is this really what I want to do?
Yep.
So now it's almost like dipping my feet in the water to just kind of figure out what my next step is.
That's awesome. And that's where the risk comes into.
That's where the risk comes in.
Because, everyone wants to look at it's kind
It's
of
all
a
about,
sexy thing now to be an entrepreneur, people think.
But you need to make sure that you can financially make it work.
Exactly.
Right?
Because everyone's always, a lot of people are preaching this, quit your job, go full tilt into your passions. I hear this a lot. Go full out into your passions, find your passion, do your passion. It's like, well, you also have to be good at it. And you also have to be able to pay your bills.
And you have to build an audience.
Yeah.
You really have to build an audience.
Yeah.
Because those are going to be the people that end up buying your product.
Absolutely. And it all really comes back to that community, that tribe.
Yep. That is something that I mentioned on another podcast that I was on. It's Seth Godin's idea. Or no, it's not his idea. But anyway, it's all about the concept of 1,000 true fans. So you don't really need to be impressing everyone everywhere. But if you have 1,000 true fans, whether that be in your city or that be within your niche, those are the people that are going to follow you.
Love it.
And buy your stuff, because that's what matters.
That
Making
is
money.
yeah, it really does at the end of the day. I mean, as much as the vision is important, the business, everything is great, you still need to be able to sustain yourself and then some. Getting back to the whole it's not that deep concept a little bit there. One other question I had for you was, what's one thing in entrepreneurship or with all the entrepreneurs you've talked to that people tend to overcomplicate? People just tend to just make it way bigger than it is, way deeper than it is sometimes. What's something you've kind of noticed that people need to just chill, man?
I think that people try to I don't know if it's overcomplicate, but I think people try to create solutions for people that they don't necessarily need.
Okay.
So that's why you find there's a lot of crappy products out
Gimmicky
there.
things,
Yeah,
just-
gimmicky things.
yeah.
Or a lot of people build apps that fail.
Yeah.
I'm not the one to give you the stats on this,
Yeah.
but you see it all the time, right?
100%.
It's everyone's trying to build something, but you need to know who your audience is, and you really need to do that branding, figure that positioning before you even waste your time doing it.
Figuring out
You need to have a
if there's
proof of concept.
Exactly, and figuring out if there's a pain point, if you're actually solving
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
Yeah, that's something that you found with the women who weed. I really love that. What's next for that business? What's next? What are you doing next for this shorter term? I already asked about the long term vision, but what are you about to do?
You know what? We really want to grow the community.
Yeah.
We want people across the country, across North America, to just get really excited about having this new platform to meet other people.
Absolutely.
Right? Cannabis just is becoming legal. This is the very beginning of a movement.
Yeah.
We don't know what it's going to be like in 10 years. So the people that
yeah.
have used cannabis are really excited about it, and they are eager to get involved. And so we want to give them the platform to do so.
And a lot of people, I feel like in the future, are even going to travel to Canada just to kind of
Cannabis tourism is a thing.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
And wait till we get like lounges, or like it opens up a bit more for more entrepreneurs to open up shops and
Amsterdam of Canada.
You never know. I mean, I see it happening right now. It's a very like have this plain packaging little place in this little government
it's boring
shop.
AF.
Yeah, but
it's boring.
It'll change. That'll change. Like
It'll
Vancouver
change.
and BC, they already have like a really hype culture surrounding it. Like I recently got to visit Vancouver, and I just got to see all these cool different dispensaries and all this different like, and it's all legal. It's been legal. Like it's no one's doing anything illegal there.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's hype. It's like, oh, this is cool.
It's so hype.
This is.
I'm pretty hyped up.
This is a whole vibe. Talk to me about like the field trips that you kind of organize and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so we're experimenting. So we did the meetups where we talk about a book and a topic. But now we're like, well, let's get these people a little bit more knowledgeable on the weeds. Right. So we are lucky enough to be close enough to the Tweed Visitor Center.
Right.
I don't know if it's the only one in the world, so I don't want to say that, but it might be. And we're just an hour away. So we're packing the women who weed into a bus, and we're going to their facility to learn all about the process of how cannabis goes from a greenhouse into a dispensary, and what does that look like.
Just seeing it from start to finish.
Start to finish.
That's really cool.
So we're going to get a guided tour of the entire thing and learn firsthand of really that almost like cannabis manufacturing process.
That's really cool. Do you ever grow your own weed? Have you ever done that?
I haven't.
No?
I don't know if I want it to dank on my apartment.
Yeah,
you know?
That's true.
I don't mind the smell, but like for months.
Yeah. I know a lot of people who've done it. I mean, I guess since it's become legal and like, but they have backyards and stuff. So.
Yeah. They do a lot better outside. Trust me, I've read into it.
Yeah.
You save a hell of a lot of money if you can grow your own cannabis.
That's what I was thinking. But do you like to experiment with a lot of different kinds of weed and different stuff? Do you use it for different uses?
Yeah, well, the beautiful thing about the legal market is that you can find the exact type of strain for you. You just kind of have to experiment, which is for some people the scary part, right? But I do stuff that is really fun with engaging people, but other people like to do stuff where they can just kind of hang out at home, or some people do it for chronic pain, right? Everyone has their different use cases. Exactly. Now that I can pick and choose what I want, I'm starting to experiment with more. So for example, I picked up a strain the other day. I don't remember the name of it. And I'm going to see if it helps me fall asleep. Okay. Because my brain seems to work the best when I literally should be sleeping.
Oh, you're me.
So we're going to try. We're going to do a little personal experiment and see if it works. And if it does, you damn right, I'm going to be sharing that on social media. So
that's hype. I like that. Maybe it's another thing where you like can have like different strains for different people and have like a rating scale.
I found one where it's really great when you're like trying to brainstorm and be really creative.
Creativity, yeah.
Yeah.
I want that right before bed. Even though I like you, like all the best thoughts, everything. I keep a notebook behind. You don't see it here.
Do you?
But
That's hilarious.
Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, we better get this before it's just gone.
Sometimes I do that and I wake up the next day. I'm like, that idea sucked.
That was so bad. What was wrong with me? Was I drunk? Like, yeah. No, I like that a lot. That's funny.
But it's like that undistracted thinking time. And that's another thing, going back to your question about entrepreneurs, is I think really great entrepreneurs schedule time to think. Ooh. Right? Like really great entrepreneurs that are very successful have a plan.
I like that.
And that's what a lot of people don't do. No. They don't turn off, unplug, and just write pen to paper, write things down.
Oh, I'm big
or like do personal strategy sessions.
I'm big on all these little tips and stuff because I'm all about like personal development, like just bettering yourself and just leveling up kind of.
Yeah.
And I've heard like some of the most successful CEOs, billionaires, this and that, they'll keep their calendar as empty as possible. Some of them, busy as hell, whatever. But like literally schedule in time for nothing. Doing nothing. There's something so powerful about us doing nothing. Like it's kind of a ridiculous concept to me to just think from like outside looking in, like, we do so much and we make ourselves so busy in Western society that we legit don't take a second to just, yo, step back. This is what I'm doing. We're like, let's just chill for a second here.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important to have some me time.
Oh yeah, I think in the future a big thing that's gonna be like, if someone wants to start a business right now, it's gonna be like social media detox or like phone detoxes and like retreats and that kind of stuff. Like, get away from everything and do nothing for this weekend.
And
It's
I
gonna
love
be a thing.
Oh, yeah. And I love that you're saying that because with Women Who Weed, I'm trying to build an offline community, but also an online community. And what I'm noticing is that people don't really care to engage in the online community.
Really?
It's because when you're using cannabis, you want to be with people,
You want
right?
connect.
Or you want to be by yourself,
Yeah.
but you don't want to be on your phone.
No.
You know, you don't want to be typing novels.
No.
You know, you don't want to be having conversations online.
100%.
So that is something that's really interesting. It's a really interesting insight.
That is interesting. I've never thought about it that way. You're right. You want to be around people, obviously, depending on what you do, how you do it, whatever's going on in your life. But generally speaking, it comes down to connection,
Yep.
right? Which is what you're also kind of like underlying through all this communities, everything is just connecting, being able to connect with other people. And it's so powerful that like you're a catalyst for that, where people can come out, be themselves. You know, we're talking about a book or whatever, but now these people become friends, and these people might create a pocket, and some of these people like wine a lot too, and they'll go out to wine
And
another
I've seen
day.
that.
Yeah.
I've seen that. A bunch of people that I've met through Women Who Weed, I've seen hang out. And I'm like, I'm just saying.
It feels
I'm
nice.
just saying.
That feels nice. You can
It
say
feels
it.
good, yeah.
That's awesome. This is so great. If you can believe it, we've almost gone over an hour.
Oh, wow.
It's been a great chat so far. Is there anything you think I really missed or didn't really cover with you today in our little
No, you
discussion?
did an awesome job.
Thank
Keep
you
hustling.
so much. Thank you. I really appreciate it. We've still got a lightning round to go. But I did want to ask you one question before I got to those kind of rapid fire ones. But what would like your main advice be for someone like a 17-year-old version of you?
17-year-old version of me.
Yeah. Someone a lot younger, still trying to figure it out. What, like, if you had you come tell her what's up, what would that one thing be?
Oh, that's a really great question. I would say, like, make really good friends.
Make good friends.
Make really good friends.
Interesting.
Because those are going to be the people that are just there for you, that inspire you, you know, that are going to be your cheerleaders.
I love that.
Right? I felt when I was in high school, I didn't have the friends that I have today.
Okay.
And it's really impacted my life significantly.
It's important to find those group of people, because don't they always
Don't
say...
let people treat you like shit, you know?
Absolutely not.
The minute they do, you don't got time for that.
Cut them out.
You're a busy girl.
Move on.
Cut them out, move on.
Love it. That's powerful. That's so great. Well, because they say that you are the sum of the people you're around. Like,
Yeah.
and I genuinely believe that. Like, if you're around people who are, I mean, you're living proof of this. When you were doing the local talks, you were literally surrounded by these entrepreneurs, and you soaked it all in. You probably made some amazing connections, and now here you are, full out entrepreneur yourself.
I know.
Love
I can't
it.
believe it. Sometimes I pinch myself.
You're killing it. And it's just the beginning, like you said. It's
Just getting started.
Just getting started. Let's get to our lightning round.
Cool.
It's just gonna be 4 or 5 quick questions, but take as long as you need to answer them, because you know it's not that deep. If you could live anywhere besides Ottawa, where would it be?
Vancouver. I haven't been there though, but I feel like it's chill.
It's a vibe.
It seems like a vibe.
You would like it a lot.
Or Amsterdam.
Or
obviously.
Amsterdam. Have you been?
Yeah, I just came back.
Oh yeah, you were in Europe.
Got to go where the weeds is.
Oh my God, I didn't even get to ask you about that. That's so hype.
It's cool. Yeah, super fun.
I loved Amsterdam. It's like a really cool, like,
Oh yeah, it's
just
a vibe.
like you could take the whole cannabis aspect away for a second. Just the canals, the architecture, everyone's on their bikes. There's like all kinds of museums and great food, and then obviously the coffee shops. That's
Totally.
awesome. Your best book you've read in 2019?
Oh, Sapiens. That book's trippy.
Yeah, man. Great
So
book.
trippy. It makes you really think.
It really does.
It really makes you think.
Your favorite strain of cannabis you've ever tried?
Oh, that's a great question.
If you know, I mean,
Purple haze.
Purple Haze. Love it.
Honestly, I just made that up. I
Just
don't have one off the top of my head.
You saw the Jimi Hendrix
I
back there,
know.
and you were just like,
I was like,
Purple Haze. Yo, I'll take it.
I just made that up. I hate lying.
That's fine. It's not that deep. It's really not. What's your favorite late night eats in Ottawa?
Oh, I stop eating after like 9.
Okay.
I'm lame.
What's
and I
dinner?
don't order out. I'm super lame and I like meal prep like a crazy person.
That's fine. That's not a
Like
bad
that's
thing.
it. Only meal prep.
What's your favorite meal prep? What's your like cheat meal prep? Like, you know what? I got this meal
Reese's Buttercups.
Oh.
I always got those
Ooh,
in the cupboard.
big Reese's
God, I always
guy.
got those. God, I always had those.
Love it. This one, it kind of ties in with the one I asked before the lightning round, but what's the best advice you have ever gotten?
Wow. The best advice I've ever gotten.
Someone just told you something and it just stuck. It resonated. You're like, yeah, you know what? You're right.
Keep going.
Keep going. Ooh.
Yeah, keep going.
I love it. No better way to end this podcast. Thank you so much for coming
Thanks. Did I pass the lightning round?
100%. You won. Flying colors. Tell people where they can find you on social media. Shout out everything you want to right now.
Okay. Give us a follow. Woman Who Weed, Instagram. Myself on Instagram is It's Reagan Bradley. And then, yeah, those are the main two. Just Instagram. That's where to find me.
She's true to her word. Stick to a couple,
stick to
guys.
that platform, man.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on. And remember, it's not that deep. Thanks for listening to another episode of the It's Not That Deep podcast. For access to exclusive articles and content, please head over to www.itsnotthatdeeppodcast.com. And to help me grow this thing to the next level, here's what I need you to do. Go ahead and subscribe to my podcast on all platforms, wherever you listen, and share with all your friends and family on all social media. And please leave a rating as well. Remember, it's not that deep.